On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks are 4-3. Not bad, but there are definitely things they need to change. We'll tell you what those things are in today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Amazing.
Your team every day.
Still can't eat milk.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager, the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being in every day or making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. Subscribe to our free Locked On Mavs newsletter, your one stop for the best news and analysis on the Dallas Mavericks sent straight to your inbox every day. Check the QR code or the link in the description wherever you're listening or watching this. Today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And joining me, as always, my co-host, media member, and the season sustainer, the change challenger, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Nick, I was thinking today, this is a testament to how long we've been doing this podcast, that we have almost been doing this podcast for 3 presidential elections. We started doing this podcast right after the one in 2016, I think. We started, 2017?
This is season 8 for me.
And now this is, our second election. And that's the most political talk you're going to get on today's
That's it.
podcast.
No more. That's it. No, nothing else.
Today is a basketball podcast. And speaking of basketball, I was at the Pacers game the other night, and I walk into the press box.
Me too.
And Greg, the arena worker, OG, he's like, hey, he gets my attention. He points up at the screens in the arena.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm like, there's our freaking faces and slightly rose-colored glasses and his disco club scene on the screens there. And it was just really cool seeing the show. They're playing in the pregame, before the pregame show there in the arena. And thanks for everybody supporting the show on KFAA channel 29 and sending us all the screenshots and pictures and all the love for the show the past few weeks.
Yeah, our show plays on KFAA every day, 4:30 Central Time. And I had the first person come up to me at a game and say, hey, I've seen your podcast on TV. What's your show's name? I was like, oh, okay. Here we go at the game. So
4:30 on
so it plays before
days,
Mavs.
But also it's like...
But on game days. Yeah, on game days, it's right before Mavs pregame.
There you go. Yeah. So
cool.
cool.
you get us, and then you get Dana, also Raccoon Squad member. Then you get the Mavericks on KFAA. That's a good day. That's a good day on TV right there. Today's episode is going to be a good day on this show. We'll go through a bunch of changes we want to see the Dallas Mavericks make. Specifically, we want more Naji Marshall. Need more Naji in our lives. Talk about the starting 5. We want to change there. And we'll talk about Luka and a couple of things that he may need to change this season. And let's start here with this one, Isaac Harris. The biggest thing the Mavs need to change to me, when we first texted about this and started going through, all right, what changes do we want the Mavs to make so far? Mavs are 4-3. They've won some games. They've lost some games. They've lost some bad games. They've won some games they didn't seem like they should have won. And the thing that they need to change the most right now is their first quarter offense. Their first quarter offense is absolutely wild compared to the rest of just the Mavs games. It is insane. The Mavs offensive rating for the season right now is 112.6, meaning they score 112.6 points per 100 possessions. That's 15th in the NBA. It's not bad. It's not that great.
Could be bad.
But it's solid. Their first quarter offensive rating is 102.9. 10 points off of that. 10 points. Their second quarter, 114. Third quarter, 117. Fourth quarter, 116. So you're talking literally the outlier, the one that stands out from the others. It's, if they're the dragon meme where there's the multiple dragons and one of them's got a derpy face on and the other two look like mean and evil. That's the Mavs first quarter offense compared to the Mavs second, third, and fourth quarter offense.
Yeah, those Gafford post-ups there in the first I'm just kidding. One of the things there in the first quarter is Klay's shots. I think that's been something that has fluctuated so much in the first. There's so much with this team, in the first quarter because Luka is such a historically great offensive player that, I mean, in general, but also in the first quarter. And he just makes it a point to get in rhythm there in the first. And we've seen him have over these last 7 seasons have some just like insane first quarters that kind of like sets the tone and the atmosphere for the whole game. We've also seen this season, this short season of 7 games, Klay's like offensive role change. Those first few games, I was going back and looking at even in the, let's just say first half, not just first quarter. You look at those first few games this season, he was right around like 7, 8, 9 shots there, attempts in the first half. And then it's like this, like the flip like switched, and then it just goes to there for a stretch of games for like 4 or 5 games there after that, or since then, it's like 4 shot attempts. It's like cut in half in the first half. And I'm not saying that Klay is like the one thing that has to change to get all the offense going, but I did like seeing Klay have a little bit more of a green light, or a little bit looking for Klay some more there in the first quarter. So I don't know. It's hard to sit here and be like, first quarter offense, y'all got to change it, and Luka's just going nuts.
Something has to change with the first quarter offense, though, right? Because it is the lowest of all of them. Like, it is the one that stands out, and they keep getting off of these slow starts. Slightly and I were like very upset about it in the Pacers game. Another slow start for the Mavs. But I think if you're going to try to find some things that need to change, first of all, Luka and Kyrie are shooting 35% and 38% in the first quarter. So if you're going to think of anything that needs to change, this is not necessarily a schematic or a decision that needs to change. Maybe they need to take better, like more high quality shots, but those guys just need to hit their shots.
Do you have Kyrie's shot attempts in front of you?
I don't, but Luka, I can grab him. But Luka is taking 6.9 field goal attempts per game in the first quarter. That's third in the NBA. It's a lot. He takes a ton. And Tatum is number 1 in the NBA with 7.9, Paolo at 7.1, and then the next highest is like at 5 something. I mean, he takes a ton of shots in that first quarter. And I'm with you too on Klay, and just wanting to spread the wealth a little bit in that first quarter. Try to get a bunch of guys going, because right now maybe it goes back to, all right, well, in the Magic game, Luka went off in the first quarter and it looked awesome, and then all of a sudden everything fell into place. And that's great, but the Mavs now are a little bit deeper, and they shouldn't have to rely on Luka to take 24 shots a game anymore. And I think that distributing it a little bit more can help the Mavericks. And I'm with you. I think that is, if you're going to talk about one change, if these guys are going to keep struggling like this, or you either think that Luka and Kyrie are eventually going to hit their shots in the first quarter, and so you stick with what you got and just keep doing it to 103 offensive rating, which is so bad, or you change it up and just distribute it a little bit more. Like, try something else, which is maybe why they're trying the post-ups with Gafford, maybe why they're trying some of the getting PJ open kind of things, and hitting him on those. But it's just something that has to change for the Mavs, because it's not tenable for them to keep having these bad first quarter offensive games like this.
Yeah, I don't have the stats in front of me to prove this, but it feels like Kyrie's kind of like accepted.
We don't need stats around here.
I mean, I can create stories that kind of like fit. It feels like it's probably way too soon. It feels like Kyrie's kind of like accepted the first quarter is like, hey, we're getting other people involved. We know this is Luka's quarter, because it feels
he's taking 4.4 shots a game.
Okay, so it feels like if I had to put money down on a FanDuel bet of what quarter does Kyrie take the most shot attempts in, I would definitely say it's the third or fourth quarter. And if I had to pick, the third quarter, because it feels like we've had more third quarter explosions from Kyrie over the last year. 7 games, small sample size, but over the past year, Kyrie's kind of like taken upon himself to like, hey, I'm going to kind of be the engine in the third quarter. What?
6.9 shot attempts in the third quarter compared to 4.4 in the first quarter. So
how does that, it goes back to that question I asked Jason Kidd back, I guess it was last week. And when I thought they were trying to get PJ involved early, and I was like, hey, how much of that is like game plan going into the game versus what the defense gives you? And he's like, oh, it's what the defense gives you. It's always what that is. But he also said, he also dipped into it a little bit and was like, yeah, when we try to get other people involved, it's a sign of like unselfishness and all this. Like, and if the more people you can get involved in offense, the better it opens up your offense as the game goes along.
Great thing for a coach to say.
So, yeah, I'm curious to see what adjustments do they make adjustments to the first quarter and the approach to that, or do they just say, no, it will equal itself out over time and Luka will find his rhythm.
Again, Luka shooting 35% from the field in first quarters is not going to sustain. So maybe that's the only change that needs to happen. That bumps him up 10 to 12 points per 100 possessions, and that really makes the difference there. Kyrie, 38% in the first quarter. Maybe that's the only change that needs to happen. Those guys hit their shots. But we got a couple other things with Luka and with the Mavs starting lineup that the Mavs could change that could also help this first quarter offensive problem. Let's talk about that and more coming up.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Hims. Guys, your sex life is important, but your schedule is busy. There's a lot of things going on. There's Mavs games to watch. There's podcasts to listen to, all kinds of things. You don't have time to go to the doctor's office to get treated for ED. Through Hims, you can get a personalized ED treatment without stepping foot outside of your door. So check out Hims. It's changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Isaac, you don't have to leave the couch to get access to healthcare for yourself. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis, and their generics up to 95% cheaper. Love that. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. Hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved for or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of this show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Thanks for listening to the ads when you do that. And
I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna really struggle with that one when it's one more thing.
I almost thought about dads do the ads today for that for that one. But I've been delivering on that one. I've been delivering on that one, Hims. I have. Go check out the QR code where if you're watching this or if you're listening, check the links in the descriptions for a bunch of different ways to subscribe to the show. We still want to be the #1 Locked On show on newsletters. It's free. So you literally are just only doing us a solid. Like, just if you never open the newsletter, just pound it, like do us a solid, go subscribe to the newsletter, check the QR code, check the link in the description, or subscribe to our Locked On Mavs Insider program. You get text straight to your phone from us, and you can have text conversations with us. Isaac does mailbags. I do game notes, all kinds of stuff like that. Go check that out wherever you are listening to this show. All right, Isaac, we're talking about some changes we want to see from the Mavericks. The first one is the first quarter offense has to change. There's a couple of things that the Mavs can do in that. We talked about Luka and Kyrie shooting, but you've got something else with Luka that you think you want to see change.
Yeah, I mean, there's no like easy way to say it, and it's gonna be like unpopular with the Luka stance, but
you're a dad now. You have to have the uncomfortable conversations. Sit us down together and let's go through this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not fun because Luka's our star player and the franchise cornerstone. And I don't even want to say like, hey, he's got to play better because the rhythm's going to come. I mean, he said that, post Pacers game, he's like, hey, I'm not worried about the rhythm. Like, I will find that. For me, it's the maturity on the basketball court. Like we gotta see that. I mean, we're year 7 right now. And to start off this season, a season in which so many people were picking him for MVP and all the stuff. I'm not saying he can't win MVP. It's just 7 games, but this is a team that wants to get back to the finals, and Luka Doncic as your best player has to be this like emotionally mature leader on the basketball court too. And through 7 games, I wouldn't say we've seen that consistently with the body language, with the referee interactions, the consistent referee interactions that has been a talking point over the past few seasons. That he's addressed openly too. I mean, Jason Kidd's commented at times. We've seen that. I mean, what's his tech count at right now? 3 in the first 7 games too. So he's got to kind of, I don't know a better way, like just kind of like, yeah, I'm dancing around it a little bit, but also
step up. He's got to step up to the moment that's given to him, right? We spent all offseason talking about this is Luka's opportunity to show he's the best player in the NBA, right?
Yeah,
to show that he is the number one, and that comes with expectations. It comes with the mantle of you've got to show that you can lead this team. We talked about how I've talked about for years now. Jason Kidd does well coaching teams that have leaders on the court. Luka was one of those leaders at the end of last season. In the beginning of this season, it feels like we've regressed back to a Luka that was frustrated from 2 years ago compared to the one that we saw at the end of last year.
Listen, this doesn't take away. I'm not saying that teammates disrespect him or they don't respect him. I'm not saying that other teammates on the team can't be better and help him out more as far as the skill wise and playing basketball, more efficient basketball, or Jason Kidd can't do anything. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm just saying, as a guy who is the best player on the team, there is a leadership component of that, and if you're getting blown past on defense and causing other rotations in the team, and then you're getting beat for an offensive board, and you turn around and yell at a teammate, that's not like a cool vibe from your leader here. So, as far as things changed, I'm not worried about the rhythm, and I wouldn't say I'm worried about this part of Luka either. I'm just saying, I mean, if the question that we're talking about is things that need to change, that kind of emotional maturity on the basketball court's got to change from him.
It does. We've got to see Luka at another level. If he wants to hit this MVP level, if he wants to hit this, level of being the best player in the NBA, that's got to take a step up. He's either got to be incredible playing wise to make up for some of this, or, he just has to do so much more to make up for it. And I've just seen we've seen too many plays this season so far where the play is going on and he is talking to a ref. There's no scenario where you should be talking to a ref while the play is happening, especially on defense, because that's where we've seen the struggle.
Do that. Your best player candidate on a consistent basis, that just can't happen. So
it's tough. It's absolutely tough. So I agree. I think that's something that we need to see change. I don't think it's the reason why they're not great in the first quarter. I think there are other reasons, but I think that it is something that has to change. One more thing with Luka is we mentioned spreading it around a little bit more. So far this season, he's taking 18.6 drives per game. It's up from 17.8. Not that far up from last year, but he's passing on 26% of those drives. So about a fourth of those. That was very low compared to the other players that have taken at least 13 drives a game. Last year, 37%. So he went from 26 to from 37 last year to 26. So he's passing it less on his drives. You can tell that teams are staying home on Mavs shooters, and they're letting Luka just go one-on-one. So he's trying to beat his man off the dribble more. But if we're talking about spreading it out a little bit, that's a number that I thought was interesting, that he's passing less on his drives.
Yeah, his usage is high. I think LaMelo right now, it's very, very early in the season. LaMelo's 1, Luka's 2, I think Giannis is 3 in that. But to the point of his drives, where he's driving the ball, you said a little over 18 times a game. He hasn't gotten the friendly whistle this season either. And I put this down on here. I'll just go ahead and lump this in here. They got to get to the free throw line more. And, when you look at where they're at numbers wise in the league, they're 25th in the league in free throw attempts per game. They're 27th in the league in free throw makes per game. With a team that has Luka and Kyrie, guys that can get to the basket, they're dynamic drivers and creators and offensive players. You got to have more free throw attempts from those guys. Some of that is on them in the offense. Also, some of that is he just hasn't gotten the whistle as much to start this season. They've let a little bit more go with him at times, and in return it's gotten him out of the rhythm too. And so it's kind of like chicken or the egg, and all of that. So
that's the thing with Luka too, is that he a lot of times has a reason to be aggrieved by some of these calls. I mean, we complain about him all the time on Twitter during games, and complain on the show sometimes about the calls. And I understand why he's frustrated that the calls are called completely different from game to game. We've seen the difference between that Suns game earlier this year, where just every touch foul is being called, and then that Pacers game where Luka was getting every body bump foul that he wanted. And you're like, okay, this is just so different, the way that all these different ref crews are calling it, how close they're calling it or not. And so it doesn't mean that Luka doesn't have a reason to be upset sometimes, but you've got to push that down. And honestly, I think LeBron has done a good job. Yeah, I can't take you out of the game, but LeBron will like wait till it stops, and like as soon as the game stops, he goes right to the ref. It's like, okay, just don't let the game be, disrupted because you are complaining to a ref. It's just happened so long for so many years, and we are in year 7. You got to see some maturity at this point.
LeBron's just trying to find the rim.
And I think it'll wear on teammates eventually.
LeBron's just, there's 3 rims out there, and it's just crazy that he can even.
Isn't that like a 3-year-old joke now?
It's
how
crazy.
How long ago was that
he can't even find the ref, because it's just like where he got hit in the eye 3 years ago, and he's just like, I can't see.
That was in May of 2021.
It just shows his greatness
a long time ago.
that he's still playing at this level despite getting hit in the eye like that.
Luka is the best player on the Mavs. He's should be the best player in the NBA this season. A lot is being asked of him, yes, but this is the level that you have to get to, right? We're talking about how can you make your teammates better? How can you be better yourself? How can you help the defense, the offense? It's all on him, and it sounds like it's a lot on him, but it should be. He's the best player in the NBA, and that's what it comes down to.
Yes, no, 100%.
Coming up, let's get into the starting 5. I want to talk about it. Let's have the conversation. Should it be changed? Gafford, Lively, which one should be starting? The numbers say there's a clear answer, but I don't think that I want to trust the numbers completely. We'll talk about that and more.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Built Rewards. Everybody, I have been in this situation where I'm renting, and you just feel like you're just throwing money into this money pit over month over month, and they don't really change a lot about where you're living and all that. And you're like, what am I even paying into? So if you ever feel like you're stuck in a loop of rent payments, just watching your money vanish into thin air, Built is the thing for you. You can check it out. Built Rewards, that's where they come in. It's breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent every month. Pay your rent, watch your Built points roll in. You can use those points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points toward a flight or a hotel stay with 500 plus airlines, 700,000 plus hotels and properties. You can use your points to book other things like fitness studio classes, redeem them towards future rent payment. They're designed to meet your lifestyle. Pay hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. You can check that out. Earn points by paying rent now when you go to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Join, JOIN, built, BILT.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure you use that URL so they know that we sent you. Join built.com/LockedOnNBA. Start earning points with your rent payment today. Also, I want to tell you about Game Time, Isaac. What's the last sporting event you went to?
A Mavericks game.
Before that, a non-Mavericks game.
A baseball game.
There you go. Lots of baseball games were on Game Time when the Rangers were still playing. Not anymore though. But they do have Texans at the Cowboys on Monday. $30 to go to get in the stadium and to see the Cowboys maybe lose. Mavs at the Bulls today on Wednesday. If you're listening to this, there are tickets for $15 for that game. Go check out that. All kinds of other stuff. There's concerts, comedy, theater as well. Pink concert, a Linkin Park concert, Tyler the Creator, Casey Musgraves, a ton of concerts and stuff on here. Go check it out at gametime.com. I love the all-in pricing. You toggle in the feature. It shows exactly what you pay at checkout at the beginning, so you don't get surprised by that. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Isaac, what time is it?
Game time!
That's right.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Isaac, let's get into some more things we want to see change from the Mavs. They're 4-3. A couple of frustrating losses in there. Things we want to change. We've talked about Luka a lot. We've talked about first quarter offense for sure. And with the first quarter offense, comes back to a decision that Jason Kidd has made that surprised a lot of Mavs fans with starting Daniel Gafford instead of Dereck Lively. I'm just going to throw this number out at you, and you're going to tell me if this means something or nothing. We've been doing this on Locked On NBA a lot. The starting lineup, Luka, Kyrie, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, with Daniel Gafford on the floor. A negative 10.4 net rating, meaning they're being outscored by 10 points per 100 possessions in 163 possessions so far. Not a terrible sample size, but also not a terribly small sample size. Their offense is not good, 109 points. Their defense is worse, 119 points per 100 possessions with Lively. So -10 with Gafford. Just replace Gafford and Lively. This is only 60 possessions, so a much smaller sample size. So consider that. They're +6. Their offense goes from 109 with Gafford to 122 offensive rating when you put him in. Now, these small sample size, they could have gone on like a 20-0 run, right? It could have been a bunch of possessions where the Mavs offense was really humming.
And Lively didn't play against Indiana.
Lively didn't play against Indiana, so that one will definitely affect it. Definitely affect the defense on there. But -10 net rating with Gafford, +6 with Lively. Is this something or nothing?
I mean, it's definitely something. I wouldn't say it's like the number one thing. I mean, we're preaching to the choir at this point. Both
you
the
defend
people on
this. You define what something is.
I mean, both of us, if you've been listening to this podcast, both of us thought Lively would be starting. I wanted Lively to start. Lively's the better player than Gafford. I understand the reasoning and all that. Lively is getting more minutes than Gafford, so it's like, oh, what does it matter? If he starts, who doesn't? All this stuff. I just
these first quarters.
Yeah, the first quarters, do matter, and just like rebounds matter too. I think Lively. I've been so open about this that Dereck Lively is a future star in the league, and you don't play him like a situational player. And that's hey, like you're coming off the bench, and then you got I think he's that good. The only argument I hear about it is his foul trouble, because that's you got to be able to stay on the court, and he still gets some dumb fouls on some dumb decisions sometimes. But I mean, I think it's definitely something.
It's something to me. Again, like you said, it's not everything. It is a sign that this group plays better with Lively, and we can see it. I mean, like what we see on the court is translated to the stats right here. And yeah, like I understand the foul trouble. He got 5 fouls against the Rockets. He had 4 fouls against Minnesota, 4 fouls against the Spurs. But I think that you roll with it, and you have Gafford. And honestly, at this point, the more that I watch these two guys, and the more that I think about how different their games are, even though they both are, screen, roll, dive, dunk kind of rebound, defend kind of players, Gafford is actually better at beating the second units and like beating up on smaller players and beating switches on post-ups and things like that than Lively is anyway. I think it would actually be beneficial for Gafford to go from this, from the starting lineup to the bench units and just beat those bench units. Think about those games he had last year when he was just beating up on some of those bad teams. The second units are all basically bad teams, right? If you think about it that way. And so I think it would be beneficial for both of them to switch. And I'm with you. I just think he's just a better player. He gives you more. And if we're talking about how to beat these slow starts, 103 offensive rating in the first quarter, I know Lively's switching in like halfway through, but let's get off to a better start here and start Lively. So I'm ready to make that change. Jason Kidd doesn't seem to be ready to make that change. Maybe there are other things that he has to consider in that. But Jason Kidd also recently said that we care about wins and not feelings. So I'm not going to put any stock in any of those extra things.
We got to get Lively healthy after the warm-up thing. Another bench player that I want to see more of is Naji Marshall.
Yeah.
Naji, I mean, what an incredible game against Indiana. Just, I mean, it's like, this is the Naji. Can I write in Naji Marshall on the ballot? And, but, when I start looking at some of the lineup combinations of stuff, even looking at some like 3-man combo stuff, so many of the top, as far as the most minutes played together on the Mavericks so far this season, so many of these top 3-man combos have a negative net rating. And there's only a handful of those that have a positive net rating. So you look at like the 3-man combo of like Kyrie, Luka, and Daniel Gafford. They played 97 minutes together, a net rating of -14.5.
That's the starting 5.
Yeah, you look at like Kyrie or PJ Washington, Luka, and Lively. They played 74 minutes, net rating of a -6.5. But then
tough.
Kyrie, Luka, and Naji Marshall, just 59 minutes together. I get it. But net rating of +9 together on the court. That's a 114 offensive rating and a 105 defensive rating. There's something about that trio that has worked in those 59 minutes together. We saw a lot of that why it worked in the Indiana game. Having that, I mean, it's like, all right, is he the third best ball handler on the team?
They treat him like he is. Well, Spencer Dinwiddie probably is,
I
but
know,
they give him the ball like he is.
They were almost kind of treating him like he was Dante Exum out there, and like just letting him bring the ball to the floor. He's obviously really comfortable with the ball. We've talked about how different he is than Derek Jones Jr. and what he brings versatility wise on the wing. And I just want more minutes for Naji with the two best guys on the team.
I'm with you. I'm ready to see him out there more. He has the highest plus minus on off on the team. The team is 16 points per 100 possessions better when he plays, meaning I think the bench lineups have been better than the starting lineups. That's probably one of the biggest reasons. But we are getting more Naji. First 4 games, he played 18 and a half minutes. Last 3 games, he's played 25 and a half minutes. So I think that's notable. And so, yeah, I just want to see more Naji. He gives them more ball handling. He makes just crazy amounts of pressure in transition where you go, all right, who do you have to help off of if Naji has the ball? And we've already seen him connect with Lively a couple times on those alley-oops that were just awesome. Like, how many other players on the Mavs can do that? And so, yeah, I'm ready to see more Naji. Looks like we're going to see him. PJ Washington is out for this Bulls game that's coming up on Wednesday. And so it looks like we're going to see Naji in the starting lineup, I would guess. And so we are going to get more of him, which is kind of cool. But yeah,
I never know how to predict Jason Kidd. Omax could start, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, he does sometimes he does do the leapfrog thing where he like takes somebody from the third string and starts them. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at that either.
Real quick, one more thing.
You got one. Let's go.
One more thing. I'd like to see him play at a little bit faster pace. They're 18th in the league in pace right now. Get up and go with it. We need to see this team get out and run a little bit less isolation, step back 3, clear outs. Like, this team thrives whenever they can get the ball and roll with it and get those possessions, more possessions and stuff too. So, 18th in pace. They got to play a little faster.
I have one more thing as well. Something or nothing.
Copyright.
The Mavs are 4-0 when Quentin Grimes plays at least 12 minutes.
Whoa, that's a cool stat.
I needed to share it before it may not be true again. Like, after
I'm sorry,
game, but yeah, they're 4-0 when he. I don't think I have that one.
I have to apologize that you felt that he should have played
I
more.
do. I think Quentin Grimes should play more. I'm on Quentin Grimes Island for the rest of the season, forever. I'm on it. I may be the only one.
Are you wearing a shirt on that island? Are you allowed to wear shirts on that island?
Well, right now it's just me, so I'm wearing.
Okay. You're good.
Quentin Grimes is there, and he has his summer attire on, which is only bottoms. There you go, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Those are some of the changes we want the Mavs to make this season after seeing 7 games so far. Check the QR code. Bunch of different ways that you can follow the show, support us, follow the show on the newsletter, or get text straight to your phone from the Locked On Mavs Insiders program. Check that out. Social media handles, all that kind of stuff. So check the QR code or the links in the description wherever you're listening to this show. We'll be back tomorrow. Isley, I just threw your guys' names together. Slightly and I will have the Bulls post game for you as well. Isley will be bringing the one more thing, and yeah, there we go, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show.
Peace out.
Boom.